Yes! Yes! Oh my gosh. Holy cow.
Super Mario Bros. Was just beaten in 4 minutes and 56.462 seconds by Cosmic. You might have watched a run, or another Super Mario Bros. Speedrun before, and wondered how is that speedrun possible? How did he do that? Why did he slow down? How did he not die? Prepare to have all your questions answered. This is the speedrun breakdown of Super Mario Bros. First, you might be wondering why he waits this long on the title screen. This is deliberate, but we will see why later.
How's it going, Beastworm?
So, what happened here? Cosmic performed a trick called the flagpole glitch. It involves multiple incredibly precise pixel-perfect and frame-perfect button presses to clip into the base of the flagpole. As you can see, the flagpole glitch allows you to skip the animation of the flag going down, enabling Mario to walk to the castle earlier than he normally would. How much time does it save? Well, to answer that, we need to talk about frame rules. To better understand what a frame rule is, we're going to use an analogy by former world record holder Darvian. Imagine that at the end of each level, there's a bus that takes you to the next level. The buses run on a very strict schedule. There is one bus that leaves every 21 frames. This game runs at just about 60 frames per second, so 21 frames is equal to just about 0.35 seconds. If you reach the end of the level just in time to catch the bus, you'll be sent to the next level without having to wait. However, if you get to the end just a little too late and you miss the bus, you'll have to wait until the next bus leaves 21 frames later. This means that in Super Mario Bros., you can only gain or lose time in increments of 0.35 seconds. Note that there are two exceptions to this, but we'll talk about them later. This increment of 21 frames is what we call the frame rule. Back to how much time this saves. We know that you can only save time in increments of 21 frames. By playing the level perfectly but without flagpole glitch, you would normally finish with 9 frames to spare. This means you would wait 9 frames for the bus to take you to the next level, and you will be 12 frames too late to catch the previous bus. But flagpole glitch saves exactly 15 frames, which means you can catch the previous bus. So even though the trick saves only 15 frames, because of frame rules it actually makes you save 21 frames or 0.35 seconds. However, this means that Cosmic has to play the entire level within 3 frames of perfection. This is much easier said than done since the underground section is very hard to do perfectly. Wait, how did he not die? This one is pretty simple. By running at full speed, you have 5 frames to jump after getting past this block, but before running into the Koopa. By doing very quick A-taps, Mario will do these short jumps and squeeze past the enemies without having to slow down. How did he manage to jump on the pipe? Well, this is another precise jump. If you land on the lip of the pipe, you can actually just manage to jump again before you hit the piranha plant.
Dude, SVG. Every time you come, I get world record, right?
Hang on, he jumped right through that piranha plant. Visually, yeah, he totally did. However, according to the game, he didn't. Super Mario Bros., and nearly all video games in fact, use a concept called hitboxes. A hitbox is what the game defines as an object's collision area. In the game world, 2 objects collide if their hitboxes overlap. Despite the appearances, this is what the hitboxes actually look like. As you can see, Mario's hitbox and the plant's hitbox never overlap. Here, Cosmic actually jumps on the backlip of the pipe so he can collect these coins. He's just showing off, and it's much easier to simply clear the whole pipe with your jump. If you have access to the game somehow, go ahead and try it yourself. you'll see that these jumps are much easier than they look.
Every time you come, I get world record, right?
Here, Cosmic performs another flagpole glitch. Note that this trick requires multiple frame-perfect inputs. It's so hard that the best players in the world are only about 40% consistent at it, so pulling it off twice in the same run is rare, even for the world record holder. In fact, you can see that this attempt was his 118th attempt of the session, and it was only the 17th that reached 4-2.
Thanks for 15 months.
Okay, that was a lot to process. First, how did that pipe take Mario to the warp zone instead of this coin cache? The reason is simple. To save memory, the game uses only one variable to tell where Mario is going to end up when using a pipe or a vine. As you go through the level, this variable changes to match the correct bonus rooms to the correct pipes. The value changes from the warp zone to the coin room right here. However, instead of using Mario's position to change this variable, the game uses the screen's position. If Mario somehow ends up further to the right on the screen than he normally is, he can take this pipe and end up in this warp zone. This is what we call a wrong warp. The reason this saves time is because it allows you to skip this long animation of the vine coming up that you would normally get. So, this leaves the question, how did Mario end up this far right on the screen? This is where the wall clip comes into play. How did Cosmic manage to get through this wall? Let's look at how Mario moves. When running at full speed, Mario moves by either 2 or 3 pixels in one frame. This means that if Mario jumps into a wall, it's possible that he ends up right next to the wall on one frame and 3 pixels inside the wall on the next frame. To counteract this, the game simply pushes Mario back out of the wall. However, the way the game does this has a flaw. You see, Mario doesn't get pushed towards the edge of the wall, but rather opposite the direction you're currently holding on the controller. So, if you're holding left, the game will move you to the right, pulling you inside the wall. On top of that, while the game is moving Mario to the right, it's not moving the screen to the right. This makes Mario end up further on the screen than the game normally allows him to be, which is what Cosmic needs to pull off the wrong warp. However, it's not that easy. Walls are made up of individual blocks, so even within a wall, you can stand on a block. If you're standing on a block while partially inside of a wall, the game doesn't care which direction you're holding, it will push you out no matter what. This is why Cosmic jumps a couple times. Once you're far enough into the wall that Mario is completely inside with no parts of his sprite sticking out, then the game doesn't really know which way is the closest to push him out of the wall, so it defaults to moving you to the right and you can start running inside of the wall. Note that your position needs to be just right for this trick to work. Luckily, the way this specific wall is placed happens to be in the perfect position for this wall clip to be possible just by holding right from the start of the level. After getting the clip, there are still many ways this can go wrong. If Cosmic starts running too early, Mario won't be far enough on the screen and the wrong warp will fail. If he runs too late, the trick will work, but he'll be too slow to catch his bus and he will lose one frame rule. If he doesn't come to a complete stop on the pipe before he goes down, the screen will keep scrolling as he's going down and the wrong warp will fail. If he stops too early, he won't be able to go down the pipe. If he stops too late, the screen will scroll too far and the trick will fail. If he misses the vine block, this happens. In fact, hitting the vine block has no influence on the wrong warp working or not. It needs to be hit because the vine coming out of the block adds one more object on the screen, which forces the game to choose not to spawn the piranha plant in the pipe you need to take, in order to avoid going over its sprite limit and cause a lot of lag.
Okay. Probably fast enough.
Here, Cosmic hits the wall instead of turning around. The wall stops Mario's momentum instantly, which allows him to turn around much faster, making up for the little extra distance. Because the ceiling is lower and longer here than it is in 1-2, turning around like this is harder yet not any faster than hitting the back wall. Finally, the way Cosmic did 4-2 was fast enough to save one frame rule over the previous world record in that level. This means that at that point in the run, he was 21 frames ahead of the world record he was trying to beat.
and good judges. Let's go.
Here, Cosmic jumps on the Koopas. This makes the first Koopa stay on the screen a little longer, and just like the vine block from earlier, makes the game not spawn a third Goomba. This allows him to clear this wall easily.
Let's go.
So, why did Cosmic hit the top of the flagpole this time? First, let me go back to frame rules. 8-1 is a special level. Its bus schedule happens to be so tight that if you play it absolutely perfectly, without slowing down a single moment, you will get to the end of the level just barely fast enough to catch your bus. That means 1 frame slower and you lose 21 frames, and you could be 20 frames faster and not gain any additional time. Like we saw earlier, Flagpole Glitch only saves 15 frames. Since you would need 21 frames to save any time, Flagpole Glitch is simply not enough. This is why it's not done here. The reason Cosmic hits the top of the flagpole and not the bottom is that it's actually faster to do that. When you do not do Flagpole Glitch, no matter where you hit the flagpole, you'll have to wait for the flag to come down, which should always take the same amount of time. However, Mario accelerates faster in a direction opposite of which he's facing. When he jumps off the flagpole, he's moving to the right, but facing to the left. Because hitting the top of the flagpole makes Mario higher up on the pole, he faces left for longer, and so he reaches the castle earlier and saves time. Another thing you may have noticed is that Cosmic hit the star block here. This is actually important because doing that changes the value in the flag called the subpixel position. In Super Mario Bros., the exact position of objects is 256 times more precise than pixels. When Mario reaches the flagpole, a higher subpixel position will make the flag reach the bottom exactly 1 frame faster than the low subpixel position. This means that if you play the level absolutely perfectly, but you don't hit the star block, you will lose 0.35 seconds from seemingly nowhere. The actual details of the trick are pretty technical, but in short, the star that comes out of the block shares its subpixel value with the flag, and hitting the star block makes the flag's subpixel position just right to save this extra frame. The star block also explains why Cosmic hits the Buzzy Beetle at the start of the level and says,
Good judges.
Depending on the exact frame you enter the pipe in the 4-2 warp zone, you may or may not need to be extra precise in how you hit the star block. This is what's referred to as judges, as if there were judges deciding on the fate of your run. By jumping on the Buzzy Beetle the way he did, and looking at this pixel, you can tell whether the judges are in a good or in a bad mood. If they are in a good mood, you only need to hit the star block, and they will be pleased with your run and let you save the frame roll. If they are in a bad mood, they want to be impressed. They want you to hit the block on the first possible pixel. If you miss a block or hit it anywhere else, you will lose 21 frames at the end of the level. Cosmic was fortunate enough to get good judges, which means he only had to hit the star block without having to worry about trying to hit it on the first possible pixel.
Come on, man. Please. Yes, I got lag frame.
So, what happened here? This is known as the Bullet Bill Glitch, or BBG. What happens is similar to the Flagpole Glitch, where Mario clips inside of the base of the flagpole. However, the use of the Bullet Bill makes things a little different. Because a bounce from a Bullet Bill is much slower than a regular jump, after touching the flagpole and triggering the end of the level, Mario doesn't reach the top of the block. Instead, he gets pushed out of it. Mario then gets placed behind the background, and time starts counting right away. This happens because of how the regular end of level sequence works. The block right next to the front door of the castle is actually a solid block. As soon as Mario reaches that block, the game knows he's in front of the door, and so it makes him disappear and starts counting down the timer for points. To simplify things, it actually puts Mario behind the background layer, which hides him behind the castle. To simplify things even more, the game does this as soon as Mario touches any block, not specifically the one at the castle. As a result, by getting pushed out of the base of the flagpole, Mario hits that block instead, and the last part of the end level sequence is triggered early. Doing this instead of lowering the flag saves 2.5 seconds. However, because you need to wait for the bullet bill, you actually only gain 2 frame rolls, or 0.7 seconds, from performing this trick. Speaking of which, how did Cosmic know the cannon would fire like that? Well, because of the title screen. By waiting exactly this long on a title screen, Cosmic manipulated the random pattern of the bullet bill cannon into firing a bullet to the right as early as possible. The reason why it goes all the way back to the title screen is because the pattern is based on how much time has elapsed since the game was powered on. To complete the manipulation, he also had to stomp on these 2 Koopas to get the right cannon pattern. One more thing, you might have heard before of the coin toss. Because the game only handles collisions on even frames, each time you stomp an enemy, you'll either stomp on the first frame or the second frame the hitboxes overlap. To get BBG, you need the stomp to be on the second frame because you need Mario to be as low as possible. This means that even if you perform it perfectly, Bullet Bill Glitch has a 50% chance of not working because you happen to stomp on the bullet on an even frame. Fun fact, this is why the demo has 2 different outcomes. The first time the demo plays, Mario stomps on the Goomba on the first possible frame, which makes him hit this brick and throws the demo out of sync. The second time around, Mario stomps on the Goomba on the second frame, does not hit this brick, and the demo plays out differently. Finally, there's one last detail to cover, lag frame. Remember when I said there were 2 exceptions to the 21 frame rule? This is the first one. If you perform Bullet Bill Glitch, there's a chance that the game lags for 1 frame. The exact reason why is very technical, but you can control it by reaching this point with a specific score. Cosmic did not try to control his score, and he got unlucky. This means he lost 1 frame independently of the frame rules, so at that point, he was 20 frames ahead of the world record, down from 21 previously.
That split's wrong.
Here, the splits show minus 0.3 only because the time he's comparing against is wrong. This split in the next one should have read plus 0.0 because he was exactly 1 frame behind his personal best. Because of the title screen manipulation, Cosmic knows exactly what pattern he's going to get from the Hammer Brothers. As a result, this level is the easiest in the run with this strategy. It looks like he should have died here. He didn't, because he was moving downwards. If you collide with a stompable enemy, the game will check if Mario is moving downwards. If he is, he stomps the enemy no matter where they are related to each other. As a result, you can stomp Goombas, Koopas, Cheep Cheeps, Bullet Bills, and Hammer Brothers from underneath, as long as you're moving downwards the moment you touch them. Cosmic slowed down deliberately. If you finish the level without slowing down, you get a 243 on the timer and 3 fireworks go off. By slowing down just enough to get a 242, you avoid the fireworks and save time. You may know that the previous world record did flagpole glitch in 8-3. Cosmic deliberately lost 21 frames to the record by not going for that trick here. Because of lag frame in the previous level, this put him behind the world record entering 8-4 by exactly 1 frame. Flagpole glitch is harder in 8-3 than it is in 1-1 and 4-1. These 2 levels happen to be lined up just perfectly for a flagpole glitch to be possible. 8-3, however, is not so great. On top of having to slow down to get 242 on the timer, you also need to control Mario's position to be at the correct value, including his subpixel value, for flagpole glitch to be possible. The best known way to do this is to start the level by walking and start holding B at this exact frame. Because this adds another frame perfect input to the trick, 8-3 is the hardest of the flagpole glitches you can do in the run, and Cosmic chose to go for a faster 4-2 instead to improve his odds of reaching 8-4 with a chance to beat the record. 8-4 is the final level. This is the second exception to the 21 frame rule. Because timing stops when Mario touches the axe at the end, every frame counts from this point onwards. That piranha plant disappeared. In fact, as long as you're playing the level normally, it's impossible to take damage from this plant because it will always disappear before you reach it. Whenever you miss one of the patterns, the room gets reset and loops. One part of this reset process is making all the enemies currently on screen disappear. For some reason, the developers put this reset trigger too early in this room, so the piranha plant disappears before you even reach the pipe. As a result, you can safely take this pipe even though there's a piranha plant in it. To start this room off, this is a frame-perfect jump. You have one frame to do it, or else you bump into this pipe. This trick is called a wall jump. The pipe is actually made of 4 blocks. By touching the pipe on this exact pixel, Mario stands on top of this block for 1 frame before he's pushed out. By jumping on that frame, you perform a wall jump. Cosmic turns around so he can accelerate faster backwards and enter the pipe faster. This means he has to turn around, jump, hit this pipe pixel perfectly, and jump frame perfectly. This is called a fast acceleration. By turning around and immediately jumping and holding right, you can accelerate faster and save several frames. Similarly to the 4-2 wrong warp, you can go to the water room by entering this pipe if you let the screen scroll far enough to update the value of the room the pipe will send you to. The value changes right here, and as you can see from the right edge of the screen, Cosmic managed to stop precisely on the perfect pixel. Had he stopped 1 pixel short, the entire run would have been ruined.
Oh my gosh.
Here, Mario comes very close to the fire bars, but thanks to forgiving hitboxes, he's actually fine. However, he touches the ground here and here, which cost him a couple of frames.
Come on, man. Yes! Yes! Oh my gosh. Holy cow.
Right at the end, Mario went through the last hammer. This is because the game can only assign a limited amount of hitboxes at once. Mario has 1, Bowser's Fire has 1, and Bowser himself gets 2 hitboxes. Each hammer also gets 1. By the 6th hammer, the game simply can't give it its own hitbox. As a result, the last hammer is only for show, as it is non-solid and can be completely ignored. Note that while this is true for most of the hammer patterns, some hammer patterns actually do have enough hitboxes to make it impossible to go through. The exact pattern depends on the frame you load Bowser on, which depends on how you played 8-4, so it's essentially random. Cosmic had no idea whether he would get a good or a bad pattern, so he had to jump and pray. The timer shows 456.54, but the actual time of the run was 456.462. There's a discrepancy because the timer Cosmic uses is controlled manually and is mainly to see if he's ahead or behind. The official time is calculated using the Bowser pattern. By looking at the pattern of the hammers and knowing how long the start of the run was delayed, you can find exactly how long the run was down to the frame. This run's hammer pattern is actually the same as a 456.445. But because 1 frame was lost to lag in 8-2, the actual time is 456.462. This run had an 8-4 that was 5 frames faster than the previous record, and since he entered the level 1 frame behind, he beat the previous world record by 4 frames. So, what now? Is the run beatable, or is this the perfect run? Well, if you've been following, you know that this run was slower than the previous record in 8-3 because Cosmic opted not to go for a hard trick, so at least 21 frames can be saved. Another frame could be saved if lag frame had been avoided. This means the run is beatable by at least 22 frames. There is more time to save than that though. In 1-2, there is a faster method of reaching the pipe that involves clipping in this pipe. Adding this time saver to the run could save one more frame rule. However, at the time this video is being made, only 2 people have ever managed to save this frame rule in a run and enter 4-1 ahead of the world record, Andrew G and Stuck in a Plate. Finally, even though Cosmic's 8-4 was the best ever in a full game run, it could still be improved. The individual level record, tied between Cosmic and Eddie Cat Gaming, is 10 frames faster. However, it uses many fast accelerations and is executed at a level that you just can't expect from a full game run. Assuming someone somehow does though, they could get the time down to a 4:55.58. You get this time by taking the fastest anyone has ever completed every single level and combining those times together. If we want to go even further, it has been theorized that a human could potentially complete 8-4 in a time that is 5 frames faster than the fastest that has currently ever been done. If those mythical 5 extra frames were somehow saved, that would bring the time down to 4:55.496. As of right now, this is where the human limit stands, but there is one golden rule of speedrunning. The limits are never where we think they are.